And coming to task 3, we have the task to visualize and analyze the share price data, display data visually for traders. In the task 3, at the end of the task 2, what we have is we have this graph. That means when we click this button, this graph is rendered automatically, and we no need to click this button every time to render this graph. That means this graph is updated continuously every 100 milliseconds. Here in task 3, we are here to take our visualization to the next level. But what we want to do is we want to track the ratio of the two different stocks over time, rather than just showing the individual prices over time, because the traders want to monitor the ratio of the two stocks rather than just see the uh, top ask price of the two stocks as in our task 2, because the historical correlation between the two stocks against the lower and upper bound determines a trading opportunity. That means if the ratio of the two stocks is beyond certain point or below certain point, so here, along with showing the ratio between the two stocks, one more thing we have to do. So here, one more thing we have to show. We have to show the upper threshold value and the lower threshold value. That means when the ratio between the two stocks goes below the lower threshold value or goes above the upper threshold values, that determines the trading opportunity. So two things we have to add here. First, we have to show the ratio instead of showing the top ask price of the individual stocks, and again we have to add the top threshold and the lower threshold. That means we have to add the lower threshold and the upper threshold. To achieve these things, we have to make some changes in the graph.tsx file. Here, as you can see, previously in the schema only stock, ask price, and the time term were there. So in the schema we have to add some more things like the ratio and the lower bound and the upper bound and the triggering alert. So we have added these things here, that ratio we have added upper bound, lower bound, and the trigger alert. Trigger alert is fired when the ratio is beyond is above the upper bound or below the lower bound. We have mentioned price ABC price DA because to calculate ratio we need the price ABC price DA. That's why we are keeping price ABC price DF here. Otherwise there is no need to show in the graph the price ABC price DF. But to calculate the ratio we are assigning in the schema the price ABC and price DF. Next, to configure our graph, we need to add some attributes here, because here in the previous task we have added these attributes, but in this task according to the requirements, like we need the ratio, we need the upper threshold, we need the lower threshold, accordingly we have to change this attribute. This is in the component date mount meter. Component date mount meter runs after the component is mounted or rendered in the DOM. So as we are changing it every 100 millisecond, we are changing the component every millisecond, we are changing the data every millisecond. So we need to run this every 100 millisecond. So we are assigning some extra elements here or extra attributes here. As you can see here, we are as you can see here, we are assigning some extra elements like ratio, upper bound, lower bound, and triggering alert. Along with that, in the y-axis, that means in the column, we are assigning, earlier we are assigning only the top ask price in the column, but here we are assigning the top ratio, lower bound, upper bound, and triggering alert. And all the other things are same as per the task 2, but in the aggregate attribute we are adding some extra attribute like a ratio, upper bound, lower bound, and triggering alert. And now we have to make some changes in the data manipulator.tsp. This file is responsible for processing the data that is coming from the server. Here we can see the server response. Here we are processing the data that is coming from the server. So because we are changing some we are adding some attributes like ratio and top bound or upper bound and lower bound. We have to declare it here. So the same thing we did here. We have price ABC, price TF, ratio, upper bound, lower bound, and trigger alert, as we have discussed before. As we have added some attributes in the interface, we have to initialize those things here. We have to declare those things in the data manipulator of a class. So what this generate row function does is that it returns the process data accordingly the graph is rendered. So for that thing, as we have added some extra attributes, we have to change, means this is the before and this is the after. We have to change, we have to change something here. So we had added the upper bound, lower bound, and the ratio field here, like you can see. And in the upper bound we are assuming like plus or minus 5%. This thing we can fix like plus or minus 2%, 3%, 10%, whatever we can assume, but here we are taking plus or minus 5%. And after defining all these things, we are returning price ABC, price TF, ratio, and timestamp, upper bound, lower bound, and triggering alert. Yes, triggering alert. What it does is when the ratio is greater than upper bound, then it raises a trigger alert. Or when the ratio is lower than lower bound, it raises a trigger alert. That's why your logical OR is applied. That means when this condition is true or this condition is true, when this condition is true or this condition is true, then we are raising the triggering alert. That means when the ratio is greater than upper bound or the ratio is less than lower bound, we are raising the trigger alert. So for that thing we are using or logical OR here. And when these things are not satisfied, these conditions are not satisfied, we are just returning undefined. We are just returning undefined but trigger alert. That means, as you know, the table.update method takes an array as an argument, but in the data manipulator class, the generate row function returns an object. So this is the object. So this is the object, but the table.update method takes an array as an argument. So we have to convert the object into array. So we added an square braces so that the object is converted to the array of object. So with this we have completed the modification. First what we did was we added some extra features in the schema, and then we have added some extra attributes here accordingly to the schema, and then we have changed some uh, uh, and accordingly we have changed the variables in the interface, and accordingly we are initializing those and we are returning those variables, and those variables are uh, uh, and those variables are uh, given as an attribute to the update function, so that it is shown in the graph. So after this we are completed everything, and our graph looks like this. Yeah, our graph looks like this, and here in the y-axis we are triggering alert ratio, lower bound, upper bound. This is the upper bound 1.05 because uh, we have added plus or minus 5% to the threshold, and here in this it is timestamp. And when the ratio goes below the lower bound or goes above the upper bound, a triggering alert is generated. It is shown in the red line here. That here we can show that triggering alert is in the red line, and the upper bound is the green line, lower bound is the yellow line, and the ratio is in the blue lines. So the we have completed our all the uh, so we have solved all the issues. One of our issue was we have to show the ratio here. Here is the ratio, and the other thing is and the other thing was we have to show the lower bound and upper bound, and we have to raise a triggering alert when the ratio is below the lower bound and above the upper bound. Here we have achieved both. Here is the ratio, here is the upper bound, and here is the lower bound. And a triggering alert is there when it crosses the lower bound or it crosses the upper bound.